Hey, what's up, guys? The weather is beautiful. It is riding season. It's time to get out there on our bikes. I wanted to make a video to help out new riders. And hopefully, if you are a new rider, you've already taken a safety course, such as the MSF course, whatever is available in your area. I highly recommend that you take that course. This is just something that's supplemental that you can watch after you take the course or before you take the course that they don't talk about. These are real world things that I encountered when I was a new motorcycle rider, and they didn't prepare me for it. So I had to, believe it or not, YouTube all of these different scenarios that I'm gonna list here, and I had to do my own research. So I'm gonna compile some tips and some tricks and some things that I learned as a new rider. But that's enough intro. Let's go ahead and get right into it. As a new motorcycle rider, I started noticing something weird. I was waiting at stoplights for a really long time. After several cycles, the cars to the left and right were going, the cars to the side of me in the other lane were going, but my light just didn't seem to change. I finally realized that there are sensors on the ground, and that since a motorcycle is a smaller vehicle than a car, that it sometimes didn't trigger these sensors. So there are these circles on the ground that if you ride a car all the time, you might not even notice them. But it's important as a motorcycle rider that you are aware of these sensors and where to position yourself so that it triggers the traffic light. These circles on the ground are basically a wire that has a magnetic field, and when a vehicle enters the loop, the frequency increases and triggers the traffic light. These sensors have multiple levels of detection, and the frontmost ones are the most important because they generally are more sensitive for motorcycles and bikes. Sometimes I end up at the stoplight rocking myself back and forth on the sensor, and the light still doesn't seem to change. That's when I finally realized that some states have a dead red law. If you're on a motorcycle or a moped that is too light or not large enough to trip the sensor, you're legally allowed to run the red light after waiting a reasonable amount of time. Check your state law for the specifics where you live. So the next lesson that I learned on the first day of owning a motorcycle. I rode several hundred miles and then realized I needed gas. I quickly discovered that it's not like filling up a car. The nozzle won't fit into the hole, it just doesn't work the same. So I had to pull out my phone and watch a YouTube video on this exact thing. I learned how to do the one glove method. This is a great method to make sure that you don't get gas on yourself. Since I'm right-handed, I take off my right glove and then I use my left glove to pull back the sheath on the nozzle. This lets you actuate the gas and you can pull the handle and the gas will flow freely. I also like doing this because it gives my right hand the freedom to insert my card, push the buttons, and do everything without the glove on. It's just a lot easier. So this seems like the best method for me. Some people say you should get off your bike and take your helmet off so you can really visualize the gas going into the tank. The way that I like to do it is sitting on my bike, and I do put the kickstand down, but I sort of balance it right in the middle. That way I know when I'm filling up my tank, it's completely leveled off. I'm not leaning to the side on my kickstand, but I know I get every last drop in there and I'm full all the way to the top. It also helps to know how much gas your motorcycle takes. I know mine takes about 3.5 gallons, so while I'm filling it up, I can keep an eye on that as well. So one of the sketchier things I encountered as a new motorcycle rider was maneuvering in the parking lot. Man, these soccer moms are in a hurry. Teslas don't have sensors that see motorcycles. Most people are looking in their backup camera and relying 100% on that. It's just sketchy all around. Once I learned this next tip, I gained a lot more confidence on how to properly park and how to properly maneuver in the parking lot. So as you can see here, I pull ahead of the car and I back up into the parking spot. This small tip helped me out so much with my parking. Just try to imagine backing out of a spot when there's a bunch of traffic behind you. It's a lot scarier and you can't see what's going on. This way you can see what's ahead of you, you know what to expect, you can choose the right timing, and you can maneuver out of your parking spot much better if you're actually relying on your motorcycle instead of you just backpedaling on your feet. So I highly recommend using this tip, this trick to get out of parking spots. For many new riders, riding on the freeway can be pretty intimidating. I did some research and found out that riding in town, specifically at intersections, you have a higher chance of getting in a motorcycle accident. Freeways, yes, you are going faster, but everyone is going in the same direction. That being said, you still need to scan, be cautious, and always look for an escape route. The obvious first step while freeway riding is getting onto the freeway. I recommend cycling through all your gears as fast as you can and getting to your top gear and at top speed. Accelerating onto the freeway is the easiest and most fun part. Once you get on, start to merge with traffic. Look over your shoulder, take your time, and try and get into the fast lane or the left lane, aka the carpool lane. This is the safest spot to be on the freeway. There's less cars merging in and out of your lane. It's just the best spot to be. As far as in the lane, just like they taught at the course, you want to be on the left side or the right side and avoid all the oil in the center of the freeway. You really want to try to avoid being rear-ended, so if you go slightly higher than the speed limit, this gives you a slight advantage as well. One thing that caught me by surprise right at the start was the amount of wind. My motorcycle doesn't have a windscreen and I just felt like I was being pushed all over the place. Once I learned to squeeze the motorcycle with my legs and kind of duck down into the wind, I became a little more aerodynamic and a little more stable. There's been times where I even lay my body on top of my gas tank just to make myself even more aerodynamic and feel more stable. So really utilize your legs. Squeeze your gas tank with your left and your right leg and hold your balance mostly with your legs. Your hands aren't really doing much here. It's all in your legs. This gave me a lot more confidence on the freeway. For the first month I rode motorcycles, I would just practice freeway rides from one exit to the next and accelerate and decelerate. Practice feeling that wind in your face, squeezing the tank with your legs, and gain confidence. Again, check your state laws, whether lane splitting is allowed where you live. Okay, so this next tip is something that actually happened to me, and it happens to a lot of new motorcycle riders. There will be some point where you lay your bike down and you need to lift it back up. It happened to me at a four-way intersection. An elderly lady was trying to be polite and let me go, but I wanted her to go first. So we were kind of doing the you go, no you go, you go, no you go type of thing. And then we both went at the same time. I pulled in the clutch. We were on a hill and I was mid-turn. It was very slow, less than 5 miles an hour. I laid it down and I was super embarrassed. I got up, looked around, just pure adrenaline, and lifted it back up, and I was on my way. So to demonstrate this, I'm not going to lay my bike down. I'm gonna just demonstrate it on a bicycle. The first thing you would do is put the kickstand down. Know that the kickstand is down. And what you're gonna do is you're actually gonna come and back into it from this position and kind of sit down. You can actually sit down all the way on your seat if you want to. Reach for the handle, reach under the seat or the passenger peg, something on the frame right here on this hand, and keep your back straight and lift with your knees and your legs all the way up. Once you're up, you can lean it with the rest of your body to get it over. And as long as you put that kickstand down, it's going to stop itself there. So that's the proper way to do it. My first instinct was incorrect. I just grabbed the handlebars and I manhandled it up this way. Obviously that's not the right way. So again, sit down on it, grab handle, grab seat, back straight, lift with your legs, making sure that you had put that kickstand down, sitting it up, and then you can be on your way. All right, so let's talk maintenance. There are some things that you should do daily, every day before you ride, and that's part of being a motorcycle owner. These are all videos that I looked up, but it is also in your owner's manual, and that is the best place to reference for what your specific motorcycle requires. You can learn to change your own oil, change brake pads and things of that nature, and save yourself a lot of money. But these are things that you should do every single time before you ride. Basic inspection of your motorcycle. You can check your brake fluid levels, know where your dipstick is so you can check your oil quickly. Squeeze your clutch, make sure your clutch is actuating the proper way. Check your brakes by squeezing your brakes. Look at your tires, inspect the wheels, and actually check your tire pressure. You can use the compressor or you can use a basic $5 gauge on Amazon. Check your pressure, make sure you're not underinflated or overinflated. Underinflated, you're not gonna handle as well, you're gonna wear excessively on your tires. Overinflated, you're gonna lose traction. So you need to be in the proper PSI. Check that every day before you ride. You'll want to check your chain, visually look at it, and check the slack and the tension on your chain as well. Speaking of chain, look again at your owner's manual and see what the maintenance required is on that. For my specific motorcycle, it recommends every 200 miles to clean and lubricate your chain. So an easy way for me to remember, basically my tank, I can ride about 120 miles before having to fill it up. So every 2 times I go to refill, I clean and lube my chain. So basic maintenance like that, it's absolutely essential that you guys stay on top of it as a motorcycle rider. It's not like a car that a light will just turn on and tell you, hey, you need to go get maintenance. Some motorcycles have some rider aids like that, but you really need to ensure for your own safety that you're visually looking and inspecting your bike every day before you go out for a ride. How do I continue my education? Of course, there is advanced MSF courses, and I highly recommend that. They cost money, so unfortunately not everyone is gonna go that route. But if you're like me, you research things online, you're looking for videos, I do have a couple good sources that I would like to recommend for you for YouTube content. There is one YouTube gentleman that I watch. His name is Dan the Fireman. Is very informative. He has these 5 levels of awareness, and he watches videos. They're usually point of view videos where people are riding their motorcycles, and he breaks it down frame by frame, and he says exactly what the rider did right or what the rider did wrong. It's just very informative, helpful information, a good channel to watch and continue learning. The second channel that I really recommend is a guy named Moto Jitsu, and he has a lot of drills that were very helpful. I took a few of his videos, saved them on my phone, and then I went to a parking lot and did a lot of his drills. So that's another great, awesome resource that you can use is Moto Jitsu. And lastly, third one I would say is Yami Noob. If you can dig through the layer of comedy and entertainment that he has, there's actually some educational, valuable content in there as well. But he's just a funny guy, a great channel to watch, but it is informative, and you can learn some things from him. You'll continue to learn and practice. So those were just some of the tips and things that I came across as a new rider. Hopefully it's helpful to someone out there. If it was, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button, share it if it was helpful. Also comment below if there's anything that you have questions about that I could possibly at least point you in the right direction, or if things that you've encountered that you've learned as a new motorcycle rider, leave that below to help someone else out. And I'll end it right there. And as usual, I guess I'll remind you guys how I always do. Get outside, stay hydrated, and keep on moving.